gotta change you.
Ah! Mommy, I don't want to be changed.
I've gotta change you. Change you? Change you.
Will you stop trying to change me?
Yeah. This is the guy that I idolized. Let's talk about Stallone. So today is a very good day, a very happy day for me, because I'm going to be talking about one of the actors that has influenced my decisions and how I consume media, and also, to be honest, how I wanted to be as a person for a big part of my life, and that is Sylvester Stallone. Now, Sylvester Stallone was a big part for me because when I was growing up, a lot of people were watching things like Sesame Street or Mr. Dress Up and things like that. But me, however, I was watching Rambo 3. That's right. I was watching Sylvester Stallone help the Mujahideen fight in Afghanistan. Yeah, that happened. So yeah, and it really, I grew up watching action movies, right? And I remember Sylvester Stallone was being at the top of the list. Rambo 3 was one of the first movies that I watched that he had done. So making this list of his best, worst, most underrated, honestly, a little more difficult for me than I thought it would be. So I'm happy to go into it. So if you like what you see, go ahead and hit the like button. And I would love to hear your opinions also, what you think Sylvester Stallone's best, worst, and most underrated work is also. Before we jump right into it, I just want to also mention that specifically for Stallone, I think one of the reasons why he means so much to me, or why I really kind of looked up to him like as a role model, is because I just feel like he's one of the few actors out there who was still, how do I say this, like untouched by Hollywood, in the sense that he didn't let it get to his head too much. That's not just coming from what little we know about his personal life, but it also comes from the reflection of the work that he's done in his movies. He likes to be a part of movies and projects that really tell a good character story, and also it really shows that he cares about these characters a lot. Like if you think as of late, there's like there was Rocky Balboa. There was 2 Rambo movies, one in 2008 and then one in, I think it was in 2022. I think it was last year or the year before. And he's trying to end the stories for these characters in a way that the fans would appreciate, and also that he appreciates, because he cares about these characters. He doesn't really see his franchise as a cash cow, in my opinion. He just likes telling good stories. So he's not in it for the money, except for this one. So without further ado, let's dive into the list. And I'm going to be starting off today with the worst movie in my opinion. A lot of people might disagree with me on this one, but hey, it's my opinion, my list. Yeah, it's Cobra. Did not like Cobra at all. It was too, even for me. Now, like I said, Rambo 3 was one of the worst, one of the first movies that I watched from Stallone. And from there, I dived into his more popular roles. So things like Demolition Man, Cliffhanger, The Specialist, Assassins, Daylight. I saw all those. So I was late to the game when I saw Cobra. So I had already seen all those other movies first. Now, when I watched Cobra, it's like the producers, the director just says, yo, we just need a tough guy to say these stupid lines.
I'm a hero of the new world.
Your disease, and I'm the cure.
And yeah, we'll get Stallone to do it. And he did, surely enough. Now, yeah, Stallone's acting was poor in it. It feels like he phoned it in. He just showed up to the set, read his script, and that was it. The action, in my opinion, also wasn't very good, in the sense that I felt no tension. I didn't fear for anyone at any time. And also, the villain in this movie, dear God, he is dramatic. I mean,
It's breathing them. We are the future. No. Your history. You won't do it, pig. You won't shoot. Murder is against the law. You have to take me in. If you can. Even I have rights. Don't I? Pig. Take me in. They'll say I'm insane. Won't they? The court is civilized, isn't it? Pig.
Yeah. I didn't like his character at all. I mean, you're not supposed to like the villain, but I mean, every movie that has a good villain, the villain needs to have a good motive behind what he's doing so that you can understand what makes them tick, right? But in this movie, no, that didn't happen. That didn't exist. So, easily, Cobra is my 100% his worst performance. I know a lot of people are surprised I probably didn't pick, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot or something like that, but yeah, no, it's Cobra for me. Next up is his best performance in my opinion, which is going to be, surprise, surprise, First Blood. Now, yeah, that's right, it's not Rocky. But to be honest, I was torn. I didn't know what to do here. I didn't know if the Rocky performance was better, the Academy Award winning performance was better, or his performance as Rambo in First Blood was better. Now, for me, in my opinion, the performance in First Blood was a lot better because Rocky, he had the opportunity to speak and share his side of the story and his position, and you get to see how much work that he puts in to get to where he is, and also how he gets to break down those walls between him and Adrian, right? But in First Blood, he plays a veteran who's returning from the war and is not treated well by his countrymen, specifically a sheriff in a sheriff's office. And they basically see him as a drifter, as a murderer, not as a veteran. And they try to push him out of the town, and Rambo decides to push back. Now, the reason why I think this movie is so good is because he didn't speak a lot in the movie. He barely has any lines in this movie, but the whole movie is centered around him. And in order to pull that off properly, he really conveys the acting of fear, of anger, of relief, anything really well, just in his facial expression or in his mannerisms, whether they're soft or abrupt. His eyes tell a story. It's crazy how he was able to pull that off with so few lines in the movie. And then at the end, when he does have somewhat of a speech, it just rips your heart out, and you really resonate with where Rambo's coming from in that story. And what I find funny is that when everybody thinks of Rambo, obviously they think of the sequels, right? Rambo 2, he rescues the veterans from Vietnam. Rambo 3, that happened. And then you have Rambo 4 in 2008, which was a fantastic movie. And then Last Blood, which takes place back home in the United States. Everyone thinks of those movies like, the blood, the guts, and the gore and all that stuff. But First Blood was not like that at all. It wasn't a war movie. It was more of a character piece with some action, dropped in there every now and then. Really an amazing movie, and if you haven't seen it, you got to give it a shot. And last but not least, my most underrated movie is going to be Copland. Now, for me, Copland. Now, I know I said that his best performance is First Blood, but Copland is right there also. I actually hold it level and equal to Rocky and First Blood, because I don't know, this movie, man, it disappoints me that it's not more well known. I'm not entirely sure if it was a box office success or not, but I just know that a lot of people don't bring up this movie when they think of Stallone, unfortunately. So, Copland, story of a bunch of New York City cops who reside in New Jersey City. No, not the city. I think it's Garrison, New Jersey is what they call it. And the reason why they live there is because they don't want to live in the city where their job is and where all the noise and the violence and the crime is. So they got this piece of land out in New Jersey where a decent amount of the New York City cops live, and obviously it's called Copland. That town is well, controlled. I want to say it's monitored by a sheriff who just so happens to be Sylvester Stallone's character. And this sheriff wants to be a New York City cop, but can't because of a disability, and is jealous of them because he wants to be one of them. And then it just turns into this whole story of corruption and lies and telling the truth and coming to terms with who you are and oneself. It really resonated with me, the story. It's very reminiscent of Western movies. Things like, For a Few Dollars More, or Magnificent Seven, or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and stuff like that. 3:10 to Yuma. It's because it's such a slow burn, like Western movies, and then it just picks up at some point near the end. The slow burn is good to me, and then at the end when it picks up, you really fear for every character that's on the screen. Doesn't matter who it is. And I really wish this movie got more attention because it's one of his best performances. I heard he put on some pounds, and because he does have a pot belly in the movie, he's playing a sheriff. And I remember seeing in an interview, he mentioned that he was eating like pancakes every morning for weeks or months just to be able to gain the weight. That's how much he committed to the role. So if you haven't seen Copland, definitely give it a chance. It has a fantastic cast: Stallone, Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, the late Ray Liotta, miss him, and Robert De Niro. It's just a really fantastic movie, and also somewhat of a organized crime movie, naturally, because it does have some crooked cops in there. So there you go. That's it for my list. I really appreciate you guys clicking on the video, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to watch it. Let me know at the bottom what you think your best, worst, and most underrated videos are. If you disagree or agree with me, also please let me know. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for Stallone. And the last thing I want to say is, I think one of the reasons why Stallone is such a humble guy, in my opinion, in Hollywood. I mean, yeah, he has the fancy car and the big house and the money. He's successful. That's going to be there. When I said he's untouched by Hollywood, in the sense that he's still humble and he cares about people. Unfortunately, if people don't know, Stallone a long time ago lost his son. His son was at a very young age, and I believe started acting, and he lost his son. And I think that type of incident puts a lot of things in perspective for you, and you start to think more about people and less about drama. And I think that may be why Hollywood didn't get to him in that way. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.